Okay, I think we're up. If it would be nice if it would show up here.
It is showing up.
It is showing up. Let me
Great.
quickly grab that. I don't know if anybody's here yet. Let me just share that out quickly. Didn't edit the title.
I think because you didn't click Save Changes.
I didn't.
Why'd you lower the volume too? Oh, there's one person viewing.
Yeah, hold on.
Great.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Is anybody? People are here. I think. Let me make sure to change the title and actually save the changes this time.
Yeah, I think that you have to save changes or something, and that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. There was a save changes option.
It's going to give a minute for everybody to get in here if there's anybody who's coming in here. An error occurred.
Just change it later.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so I guess we're live. Nice to have you with us. So I guess we'll go around and introduce yourself. Well, you've met me before, but my wife is here as well.
Mm-hmm. Writing Raven, nice to meet you, Viking.
Hello, Viking out of time here. At your service as usual.
Skull.
Great.
Okay, so we were going to basically just talk about some of the stuff that's been going on, and it seems like there's been some, interesting stuff going on as well as with in regards to Disney right now.
Yeah,
a lot of random leaks that have been mentioned. Have you heard about any of these?
Yeah, I saw the video that Ryan Kill prepared for that. It was a live stream, I think, last week or something, and it was quite interesting. I think that I have some opinions. I have not seen any more videos, but I wouldn't be surprised if I find out, or we later on find out, that many other people think the same. Because it really, it's suspicious to me. I don't know how you took it, guys, but I think that there is something fishy there in those leaks from the Reddit account on Star Wars.
No, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, again, a lot of what they were saying was, there is a civil war, there is this, there is that.
Yeah.
There's definitely conflict at the very least.
But I don't agree that there's a civil war. I think that would it surprise me if there was conflict? No. But is there like a civil war with sides or whatever? No. Do I think that there are some people more loyal to George Lucas and more loyal to Kathleen Kennedy? Of course. But I don't think they're like engaged in an active war. It's not
definitely factions on who thinks which version of Star Wars is better. But in terms of an actual all-out war, that's I don't think as likely. But I believe they would be trying to get at each other in more subtle ways.
Yeah, I think that it's a little far-fetched to say that there is a civil war going on. I am one of those that have always said, I don't think that there is a civil war on the principle that Kathleen Kennedy introduced Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. That alone tells you that there is no real quarrel between the two factions, let's say. That is the first thing. The second thing is that Kathleen Kennedy functions as Lucasfilm president. And that is a very important position. It's not like Jon Favreau that is in charge of just one project. If you were telling me that there is some beef between the Favreau faction and, let's say, the people behind the High Republic, then I would actually think that there is indeed something of a civil war going on inside those two factions. But here we're talking about the president of the company and just one more person that is being employed by them. And sure enough, Jon Favreau might be one with a lot of power because of the presence and prestige that he has, but I don't really think that to the levels of making this a case of a civil war. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I hear you. And again, Doomcock specifically likes to throw around the term civil war a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I like Doomcock. I have no problem with him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's very entertaining. But at the same time, and has he been right? Of course. Yes, he has. He's more than often been right. But when it comes to using the Civil War or whatever, I'm like, I don't buy it, because it's exactly as you said. You know, these people were introduced by Kathleen Kennedy and stuff, and that's pretty much what's going on here. Hold on, we have Captain Cockney Spock in the chat saying there's a war between Disney and their shareholders. That I would agree with. That's definitely a thing.
What's up, Captain?
Yeah. Hello, Captain Cockney Spock. I think that is true. I believe in that more than in another sort of war. You pay attention to that Disney shareholders meeting, like what, 2 months ago, or something like that?
And the question with Gina and stuff?
Yes, the one in which they asked about Gina, and also there was a particular question that I would like to mention right now. They said, what about Kathleen Kennedy? What is the future with her moving forward? And Bob Chapek's response, right? Like, you can see that he was caught off guard a little bit, but he was trying to be professional, and he said something along the lines of, we are happy with Kennedy, and we are going to continue with her going forward. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing here, but it's the sentiment. It's the idea behind that. That, of course, doesn't mean that there might not be some disagreement or dissatisfaction with Kennedy's performance as Lucasfilm president. But what I see there is just a full support for her and the decisions that she makes. If you consider that, then inside this thing of a civil war going on, Favreau will be losing because Bob Chapek is in charge of Disney. So then let's pretend for a moment that there is this civil war between Favreau and Kennedy. What is Kennedy going to do? Of course, take it to Chapek. You know, this thing is causing trouble, and then Favreau is out the door. So I don't really think, again, through that there is a civil war going on between Favreau and Kennedy factions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And again, I guarantee there's some skirmishes behind the scene, you know, some power struggle. That's probably, you know, normal in any kind of big organization. But
Sure.
when it comes to specifically Lucasfilm or whatever, it seems to me, especially given the comments that, you know, I was referencing that shareholders call that you were talking about with Bob Chapek, referencing, you know, when they asked what to do about Kathleen Kennedy, he's like, oh, we're so pleased to be working with her for a long time to come.
Which is a generic corporate response when you don't want to actually answer a question.
But still, it seems to me that Disney is, so this is something that confuses me about Disney and how their behavior is. You think Disney, of all companies, would want to make money. And right now, it seems to me, and again, I'm not saying that they aren't making some money in certain areas, you know, but when it comes to Star Wars, a majority of people are not happy. And Disney has to see this, but they keep putting things out. Like, for example, what confused me a lot was last week, what happened was they were like putting out stuff about, you know, with a Dr. Aphra comic, trashing Han and Luke, then like, you know, putting out a bunch of other stuff. And then towards the end of the week, they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to explain force healing again. Do you like us now? Are we friends again? And it's like, make up your mind. Either we're the toxic fans and you hate us, or we're the fan base are trying to like impress or win back. And for some reason, they don't seem to have any interest in that.
Hence why we diagnosed them with borderline, or at least a week with borderline.
I diagnosed it with.
True, you're the therapist.
Yeah, that's fair. But I'm not diagnosing any people in particular directly.
Yes,
wink,
I know.
Wink. But again, it's literally like, it confused me because it was literally like, oh, we hate you. These characters are trash. And then something was like, oh, we're going to explain it. Who are you explaining it to? The people you're pandering to literally like what you're doing. So why would you need to explain that Rey healed the dark side out of Kylo, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. And from my philosophical standpoint on it, as the goth here, hello to all the gothic people watching this, even if you're probably not. Anyway, sorry, I'm not right there. But
Okay.
what I said in our video last week was that dark and light are equal forces, and they're not. One is not more powerful than the other. And so saying that Rey healed the dark side out of Kylo Ren makes no sense, because the dark side would have had to go somewhere. It wouldn't have just disappeared or been, vaporized, which is why, in my opinion, it would have made a lot more sense if she did end up possessed by Palpatine and turning to the dark side, because if she healed his dark side, then it could have gone to the energy could have gone to the nearest host available, which would have been her. That would have made so much more sense and probably would have even redeemed it, but sadly, no.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind seeing that, but
It would actually make sense.
It will make sense, totally. One of the things that they forgot about these films is that they have already been written. So they have already been shot, they have already been released. People already reacted to them. And they are still writing them, I mean, they are using every opportunity that they can to write them again. Hey, you remember that thing of force healing that we did? Well, guess what? Now it can fix the dark side in you and it can cure it. Then question, and I think that it's a valid one, and I saw this question being asked through Twitter. I would be lying if I told you I know who asked it, but it's a logical question. If force healing is a thing, why didn't the Jedi learn it before? And for instance, Obi-Wan healed the dark side out of Anakin to begin with, or Luke heal Ben,
Vader.
I remember force
Darth
healing.
Vader, yeah.
I remember force healing being a minor ability in one of the Star Wars video games. I think it was the Game Boy Advance version of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith.
I
remember there being force healing in there, but it was literally just an ability to regain some stamina.
Yeah, and we also have, and see, here's something that I also thought was ridiculous, because one of the things that with Jedis they mentioned, and the reason that Anakin turned to the dark side was attachments. You can't be attached because it leads to hate and whatever. No, it doesn't, because then just have Jedi Master Yoda just go, oh, you're getting too attached? Healed you are. Ooh, guess what? Now go be with whoever you want. You won't be attached anymore. It ruins the whole plot. It's like,
it ruins the whole universe.
Why didn't Master Yoda, who literally talked to them, troubling your visions are? Why didn't you just go, if your visions are troubling, heal you I will? Like, I don't get it. It makes no sense.
I think that's because Kathleen Kennedy is dumb. She's so caught up in her delusions of grandeur, thinking everything she makes is perfect.
But it happens to everyone, I believe. You pay attention also to Bo-Katan's actress, Katie Sackhoff, comments this week, I think, when she was talking about her character going on to the future of the Mandalorian. You can see that she has no clue who Bo-Katan is and where she's coming from. What this means then is that everyone involved don't really pay attention to the lore. The writer doesn't pay attention to the lore. The director doesn't pay attention to the lore. So what happens when they hire the actors? Here's your role, just learn it, and there is no background for you to draw from, which is, again, a projection of Kennedy's long time ago comments that they don't have 800-page novels, that they don't have comic books to draw information from. Well, guess what, Kennedy? Now you have the people that you hired for the Star Wars Story Group drawing from that well that we know is the EU, characters, stories, plots, even force healing also appeared there, if I am not wrong, in one of the EU projects or books or something. So they are drawing constantly from that which she says that is not there. They don't know the lore and they don't care about delving into it, and that's why we have these results that, in my case, I consider mediocre results,
Yeah, that's definitely true with a lot of pop culture narratives these days. They don't care about the pre-existing lore. They only care about using it as the platform, which so many other people have said, but I completely agree with, to just push their politics. And we all hate politics.
I'm so tired of hearing everything.
I hate politics. Always have.
And it's not a problem only of Lucasfilm. You also see that with the MCU. Jan Schreiber, I think it was, who was the showrunner for WandaVision. She admitted that she doesn't even know how to read a comic book.
Oh yeah, that's not something you admit when being in charge of a comic book show.
So it's what can you expect?
You're so stupid.
Seriously, an idiot.
I don't get it.
They're all idiots these days. Am I wrong?
And no. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but who directed the first Spider-Man movies, the 2002 and the 2004, and who directed the Lord of the Rings trilogies? And you look at these people, and in every interview that they had, they mentioned how much they were fans to these shows, how much they loved these movies, how much they loved these comics, these books, whatever, you name it. Because they were fans, they turned out decent products. In the case of Sam Raimi, he was a long-time comic book fan, and especially Spider-Man. That was his favorite character. And you look at the movies, and they just reflect, in my opinion, quite well that Stan Lee, John Romita era of the Spider-Man comic books. Yeah. And the same can be said about Peter Jackson. He really captured the essence of what the books are about. They were fans, and that's, I think, something that they have forgotten, that fans can really turn out decent products. I mean, even Paul Bettany admitted it, right? Like, fans had better theories than what we turned out to actually create for the show. I mean,
yeah, and so that was really annoying. And it just goes to show you that they don't have good ideas anymore. They just don't.
They're lazy. They need to hire the fan. What they need to do is hire fans. Well, but they're never going to do it.
No. Actually, I'm going to disagree. Because if they hire fans, we all know they're not going to hire the right fans. They'll hire the wrong fans. That's why we're in this mess to begin with.
Good point. They hire the Raylos.
Yeah.
Well, Pablo Hidalgo is supposed to be, like a fan of fans. And he runs StarWars.com. You see what he does on Twitter and how he, last 2 months or something like that, 2 months ago, he was mocking Star Wars theory. Those are the fans.
Yeah.
Pablo Hidalgo, yeah. Those are the fans that they are hiring.
Little chicken man. That's what I call him.
Yeah.
Al from Al's Toy Barn.
He looks like Al from Al's Toy Barn in Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2.
Except I give that guy props. Even that animated guy wore a chicken suit because he knew that he was a cringe. Pablo Hidalgo seems to think that he's not, but whatever.
More delusions of grandeur.
Delusions of grandeur, totally. He lacks personality. That's why he finds it funny to make fun, to mock fans and their reactions. Childish attitudes. And those are the attitudes that are permeating alongside Lucasfilm, all over Lucasfilm. Everyone that is in the Star Wars story group, you can have stories about them and how they painted a red cross on Luke's face because they hate Luke, how they are ists or foes in reality, like Christina Ariel, when she was hired for the YouTube High Republic show, and everyone was like, look, but this person is racist. No, full support for this person, but we don't support Gina Carano. This is a tendency that they have in Lucasfilm. They are all overblown egos, and they are fighting one against the other. So going back to that thing of the Civil War, it's evident, yes, that there are power struggles, but maybe what I see is that the Favreau faction is fighting against the High Republic faction, for example. And the only thing that is happening is that Kathleen Kennedy seems to have no power, despite the fact that she is the president, to settle the situation. It's like a ship, they're on the high seas. And Kathleen Kennedy is the captain, and then everyone on deck has these delirious, delusions of grandeur. And I want to go this way. No, I want to go this other way. So they are steering the ship everywhere, and they are going nowhere. And Kathleen Kennedy is just sitting down, thinking, oh, yeah, I am the greatest of the greatest. I'm not paying attention what is happening to the ship. That's how I see it.
And in the meantime, she has no idea that she's the reason the boat is sinking.
No, she does.
Oh, right. She just doesn't care.
I do agree. Doomcock has mentioned multiple times that he thinks that he's heard that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to be kind of to make it look like that she was always the one behind Star Wars, and it was always her idea, and George Lucas was holding her back. And I can totally see that because she literally holds herself like that.
She's such a narcissist.
Now, whether that's the case or not, I don't know for sure, but I can totally see it, which makes it super believable. But I do agree, and I want to address Captain Kong Spock says Pablo is being thrown under the bus by Kennedy things, and I agree to some degree, in a sense where when who had to make the public apology? Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, the Star Wars account? Nope. Just some random Pablo Hidalgo account. For all we know, it wasn't even him. For all we know, it was someone on his account saying so, and he doesn't care. I know for a fact, and I have my sources. I know for a fact that even after this, he's still doing it. He's just doing it from a protected account, so that you can't see his tweets. So what he's doing is he's like, nope, you can't see any of my tweets now. So I can say and do whatever I want, and you'll never know. Only the people who follow him know. And of course, the only people who follow him are people that he deems who have the same ideas that he does. So
yeah, he has built his echo chamber.
Yep, and he's a chicken, except he doesn't wear the chicken suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And going to also what Captain Cogney is writing here, this also takes us to the leaks that were discussed by Ryan Kinnell. I believe that precisely that thing that we saw on Reddit saying, oh no, look, Kathleen Kennedy is not at fault here. She is distanced from all that. I see that, and excuse me if I am just too suspicious of this, but I just see that as someone being paid by Lucasfilm, or maybe even someone inside Lucasfilm, that is trying to spin this in favor of Kathleen Kennedy, to save face somehow. And then throwing people under the bus, of course. You know?
Oh, no, I agree. It's definitely they're trying to say. Emerald Centurion says, Odin?
If he were Odin, he'd only have one eye. Plus, he'd be flocked by 2 ravens, 2 wolves, and have a spear named Gungnir. And an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir.
I am flattered that you think that I am Odin.
Fair
well,
enough.
I am flattered that Emerald here thinks that I am Odin, but no, unfortunately, I am not All-Father. All-Father is there in Valhall. I'm just here doing my thing. But going back to this thing again, we are talking about a company that is in shambles, a company that has been under the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. And let me tell you that it has crossed my mind, now that you said that Kathleen Kennedy is aware of what she is doing, and that's why she's trying to throw under the bus other people. I believe that they have come to a point, at least in the Kathleen Kennedy faction, the High Republic guys, in which they cherish even the attention that they are given in a mockery, for mocking them, like with Geode and the vessel thing from the Star Wars videos. I think that they do it intentionally because they know that nobody's paying attention. Like, who really is talking about the High Republic? And then they talk about the High Republic today because they announced the Geode, which is a stupid idea. You talk about that for 2 days, 3 days maybe. 2 weeks pass, nobody's paying attention to it, nobody's talking about it. What happens again is another controversy or another announcement like that, so that everyone starts talking about the High Republic once again. And then 2-3 days talking about it, 15 days, nobody pays attention to it, nobody cares. I think that they just, in order to get any attention, they do this sort of thing as well,
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
No, I definitely agree. And actually, while we were doing this, I actually just edited the thumbnail for this, so now it looks pretty cool. So,
although it's still not changing the text for some reason. One moment, please. We can
keep talking, but no, I totally agree. And Geo, that was stupid. Okay, no,
I wanted to laugh so hard.
Here's the thing.
Raise your hand.
I laughed.
You also wanted to laugh.
But
I laughed really hard when they said,
if you're going to make a character like that, you have to at least try. Like, if
They
they're
do.
going to name him Geode, spell it differently, make it look alien. They literally even just said, nah, we don't care. We're just going to make it, just Geode.
Dumbasses. I have a character
And
that's literally a tree and that has no appendages besides its branches, and it still has more character and is still a better character than this dumb rock they made.
Yeah. And that's why I say that they are trying to use this for attention. They are seeking attention, and they don't care anymore if it's positive attention or negative attention. They just want it because it's the only thing that they've got left. Things like the Mandalorian just ate them away. I mean, everyone was talking about the Mandalorian, and I have no doubts. I cannot confirm this, but in my deductions, let's say, I don't have any doubts that perhaps they thought, well, it's time to release the High Republic, ride the wave of popularity from the Mandalorian. Why? Because this thing was supposed to come out last year. It didn't come out because of the pandemic or any other thing that you want. Yeah, that's possible. But the fact that they released this after the Mandalorian, and when everyone was talking about Star Wars, and everyone felt like, okay, goodwill is starting again, coming out between the fans and Lucasfilm, let's release this thing. But they are just so unaware of how narcissistic they really are that they enjoy other people's pain, and they turn out crap that nobody wants to read. And then, because they want to keep their jobs, of course, they are like, well, let's at least create controversy so that we stay relevant and we can show, see, we are relevant. They are talking about us. There are hashtags about us. Let's keep on working. I don't know, something like that. It's the only way that I can make sense out of this thing.
No, I agree.
I agree also with Captain Cogni's Spock's comment over there that Kennedy should do like Odin and tie herself to Yggdrasil to gain some wisdom. If only that were possible, considering what little brain she has.
Can I make a slight modification? Can she just tie herself to Yggdrasil and just stay there? Just stay there.
Or can she get eaten by Newtok?
But she's going to contaminate the Yggdrasil. What she should do is just, get Mimir's eyes. Mimir was like this wise guy. And if you played the God of War video game on PS3, is the guy that has that Kratos has his head hanging around.
Yeah.
Well, Mimir was
the one who guarded the Well of Wisdom, in which Odin sacrificed his eye in order to obtain knowledge. For some reason, Marvel Comics made it that he sacrificed his eye to Yggdrasil directly, which I thought was the actual thing at the time, which I still need to edit in that one story.
No, it's not like that. It's just as you mentioned. And she should do like Odin, in that case, with Mimir. But instead of throwing his eye, or in this case, her eye, she should throw herself in, sacrifice herself
I feel like that
for
would
the
pollute
greater
the
good.
well. That would just pollute the well.
Yeah.
Better she just burn in Muspelheim.
I think it's too good for her.
Oh yeah, Muspelheim is too good for her.
Too good for her.
Jotunheim, though?
Too good for her.
She lied to George Lucas's face. How can you walk away from that and not feel anything
Because
of
she's
what
a
you're doing?
narcissist? Or is she the devil incarnate?
She's a narcissist, yes. I think that she is the devil incarnate, baby.
No,
I think that she...
At the very least, his spawn.
Well, I believe that Todd McFarlane would like to disagree with that. His spawn is far more appealing than Kathleen Kennedy could ever be,
True.
But
at least the children of Satan have character.
Yeah. I think that the problem with Kathleen Kennedy is that she is a person with a very fragile ego. You have to remember where she was coming from when she started. She was Steven Spielberg's assistant. Yeah, bringing coffee. She got a role, I think it was in Temple of Doom, the second movie, right? That is the prequel to Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
And she got a minor role. I mean, it's a blink and you miss it moment in which she's one of the dancers there in the opening scene.
Is? Oh
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I've seen this.
In the
I've
club?
seen this. I've seen this.
One of the dancers in the club, in Club Obi-Wan.
Yeah, one of the dancers, exactly.
Oof.
And I promise you, it's just that blink it and you miss it moment. That's all that she got.
I am so glad I missed it.
Yeah. And she, from there, began being, Spielberg's right-hand person. A position that was before that taken a little bit more by Frank Marshall, who happens to be Kennedy's husband. So when she gets together with Marshall, they create this synergy, and through that, Spielberg makes the highlights of his career, which are E.T. and also the greatest Amblin productions, and well into the 90s, the Schindler's List, and the Tiny Toons, for example. She was an executive producer behind that, or Freakazoid, Animaniacs, you name it. But that's the thing. All that creative process was not done by her. It was all Steven Spielberg and other people that he tends to work with. But it was not Kennedy. Kennedy is good for handling money and looking into logistics and staying into budget. One of the things that has saved, and I believe that's why she became like the executive producer under Steven Spielberg, is that Spielberg and Lucas were notorious for just running over budget. And she managed to keep them in budget. So she's good for that. But she has no bone of creativity within her. And now that she is Lucasfilm president, she's taking on the role of creativity, and she is not fit for that.
Nope.
So totally. So her fragile ego does not allow her to understand that she's not good for that. And she is trying to do something she is not good at. That's how I explain
Yeah,
it.
no, I agree with you. She really just should go back to making coffee.
I don't even think it, well, here's the thing. I would say she should go back to that, but I doubt she was even good at that.
Good point. How do we know if she could even produce a good cup of coffee?
Yeah,
Emerald
we don't even know.
Says Kennedy is a businesswoman, not a creative, but once she tried to become a creative, she has lost all sense of business.
That is true.
No, exactly.
We agree
Exactly.
with you there.
Exactly. She's that's why I told you she's good for handling budgets and managing and all that. But
She's certainly
creativity
not
is
good
not
at
her
managing
strong
the budget right now.
Well, no, behind the scenes, if she's taking care of all that stuff, I'm sure she's very good at balancing budgets and stuff like that.
And how come they keep
But
losing money?
It's the problem is she's, and I think that I'm hearing what you're saying, Viking, is that she isn't a creative person.
No.
Mhm.
She's not creative. And because of
Far from
that,
it.
doesn't matter how good her balancing skills and budgeting skills and all that stuff is, without at least a creative eye or the ability to see things from a creative standpoint, it doesn't matter what she does. She will not be able to make something that will make her look good. I'm sure behind the scenes, people don't hate her as much as we do because she actually probably can do some work. But when it comes to creating or coming up with original ideas or whatever, she's literally a figurehead.
That's Disney in general these days.
Captain Thomas Spock says he's got to go. Great show, guys. Hail V.
Hail to
Hail.
you, Captain, as well.
Hail. Thanks for showing up.
Indeed. And for bringing
The-
popcorn. His
Yeah.
first comment was popcorn.
The problem with Kathleen Kennedy is that Kathleen Kennedy is a person with no leadership skills,
No.
right? She is not a good leader. She knows how to handle money. She knows how to balance a budget. She knows these things. But she doesn't know the first thing about leadership. And it shows in her, in the way in which she is handling Lucasfilm right now. So what do you do when you have a figurehead that you have to go to and ask for orders or how to proceed, and this person doesn't know it? What is going to happen? You know?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that we definitely are seeing that lack of leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially the fact that they literally had, like, in the same week, again, trashing the original thing. Han is terrible. Luke is this. And then literally by the end of the week, they're trying to pander to us again. It shows one thing for certain, that there is a really, really distinct lack of leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This leadership or lack of leadership thereof is what is causing the whole trouble and this problem of, or this perception that there is this civil war. Because that's precisely what you get out of the whole situation. Like, this is a complete disaster. I mean, nobody can agree on what stands to get. So they say, we are against the bullying and racism and all that, and we support Christina Ariel. But when Gina Carano was being bullied on Twitter, we didn't stand up to her. It's the same thing when you look at the investors meeting, and we agree that The Mandalorian is a great show, and maybe Gina Carano shouldn't have been fired, but we are going to keep on having Kathleen Kennedy. The Mandalorian is a great show, and it is giving the fans what they want, but we're going to give them the High Republic, even though it is something that they don't want at all. We are going to congratulate Kelly Marie Tran on her birthday, but we're going to forget James Earl Jones and all those other people, Billy Dee Williams and all that. So who's running the show? It looks from the outside like nobody, or like a clown is running the show, taking up the circus, and under new management, now the clown of evil, and then that's what is happening.
No, I agree. And you can see kind of how it would give the perception as well that there's a civil war.
Oh, yeah.
Because it literally looks like two people either looks like two people fighting each other, or it looks like someone who literally has no clue what they're doing. And I think it's...
And someone who does
latter.
have an idea of what they're doing.
No. It looks like they're literally throwing things up in the air and seeing what will stick. And it looks like, oh, well, now here's the Civil War. Here's the one side pushing Dr. Aphra, and here's the other side, and trying to explain away this, and then here's the other side of Favreau, whatever. It looks super indecisive.
Uh-huh. They threw up a rock and it crashed onto their skulls. Their brains are now everywhere. Wait, they don't even have brains to mop.
And that is happening also with other people. You remember after the investors meeting, I don't know how long it was, maybe a week or two, and Forbes ran an article that said what happened to Gina Carano was ill-timed, was a reflection of poor management, and it all is Bob Chapek's fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yes, it makes sense because it appears from the outside like Kathleen Kennedy has no role, leadership role. So who is to blame? Of course, Bob Chapek. I mean, Disney is the parent company. So if one of your presidents is not capable of running the show properly, it's up to you to see that it is done properly. Kathleen Kennedy is unfit for that. You either fire her or you take responsibility. And what we are seeing is that in a certain way, Bob Chapek is taking responsibility, at least for the time being. Because I also believe that he is saying, yeah, well, maybe it was my fault. I didn't look into things properly. But this is with aiming at, in the future, maybe getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy, one, or trying to create, again, that goodwill between the fans and Lucasfilm through things like The Bad Batch and the Book of Boba Fett, because we already saw that the official Star Wars account on Twitter is promoting The Bad Batch. So I think that they are trying to go to that again and say, like, yeah, well, I was to blame,
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We have to ask at a certain point. A lot of people were burned out, including myself and my wife, about The Last Jedi.
I never even saw The Last Jedi.
I'm not saying that people can't like it. There are people out there who like it, and if they like it, that's their prerogative.
Yeah, that's fine for them.
But it did not work with the rest of the story that was built up until that point. It didn't. Mm-hmm. And anybody who tells me it did or whatever, that's not true. It obviously does not mash up. If you watch it, if you were to watch them one after another, it would not make sense.
Not at all.
But so they did that. Fans hated it, divided the fan base. Mm-hmm. Then they also started attacking fans at that point, whatever, and it made a lot of bad will. And then we get The Mandalorian Season 2. Boom. And here comes the Luke we always wanted to see.
And they never get us.
And we were like, yes, thank you. And it actually undid a lot of the damage.
It did. And then they ruined it again.
And then, then they ruined it again. And so here's what my thought is, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way. At this point, you have to ask, okay, yeah, they're promoting the Bad Batch, yeah, whatever. How long is it going to be till they switch from "we love you" to, "screw you"? That's what they do.
Pretty quickly, in my opinion.
And
hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus.
yeah, definitely. And again, look, people are allowed to like what Lucasfilm puts out. People are allowed to like stuff. The thing is, if you are looking at it from a story standpoint,
the story
purely
sucks.
a story standpoint, it does not work with the rest.
Nope.
It doesn't. So telling us that we have to like it and we're just toxic and hateful, you need to be able to look at it and understand. If somebody came to us and said, look, I like The Last Jedi, I can see where you guys are coming from, but I disagree, then we can have a discussion. These people don't want a discussion. They want us to be wrong and them to be right.
When
That's
really
all.
It's sometimes the opposite.
Yeah, because they
never come in with an actual argument. They just resort to name calling.
Yep.
And blocking.
Yeah.
And stupid memes.
Yeah. It's like a cult or a religious group in which, because you are not sure of your beliefs, you want to convince others to join so that they reaffirm and to make you feel comfortable with what you believe in. And if you say, I love The Last Jedi, I want others to tell me, yeah, you're right in liking The Last Jedi. I don't need anyone to tell me that I am right in liking what I like or wrong in what I don't like. If I say that I like the Killer Tomatoes
Return of the Killer
trilogy,
Tomatoes?
The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and the Return of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or something.
Yeah.
Those are bad movies, but I like them. And I don't need anyone to tell me, you are right in liking them or not. So the thing that they are doing is trying to get more people into their cult and feel good about themselves when they are calling people names because they don't like the same thing that they like. That is not how it works, or it should not work like that.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't see, here's the thing, we don't need justification for what we like. As you said, we don't need everybody to follow us like mindless zombies.
Yeah, they're the ones who are seeking the affirmation, I think.
Yeah. And Emerald Centurion says that there are people who have voted in actual dictators in history, so I don't always trust what other people like.
That's a fair opinion.
And that's fair. And see, this is the kind of discussions I wish we could have with these people, but they're too far gone. They're so angry all the time that they can't see anything. They can't.
It's because they have no lives.
Yeah.
These things are their lives.
They don't have any lives, and they have these leaders also inside Lucasfilm. And I'm saying this because you said it right now. They are angry all the time, and they want to be right all the time. You look at some of those tweets and interactions from the Star Wars Story Group, and those people think exactly the same. And you can even look at the words that they are parroting. It's like they are programmed to do that. Now, if they are doing that from the higher-ups at Lucasfilm and the people that are working for Lucasfilm, and it's filtering down to the fandom, what can you expect if you see these interactions and this toxicity coming from the company? It is evident that it's permeating the fans as well. So I say you can be a fan of whatever you want, and it's something that I always try to profess. You can like whatever you like. You can enjoy whatever you can, but be respectful with other people, number one. And number two, do not voice your opinion as a fact, which is something that they are doing, not only the fans, but people like Ryan Johnson and people involved with The Last Jedi. You look at their tweets and they are all like, facts. The Last Jedi is the greatest Star Wars film. Or name a better Star Wars film than The Last Jedi. I'll wait. We can do it. Why? Because you are voicing your opinion as a fact. And that is what also causes all this problem. And they do it intentionally because people coming after them, they are, help, they are harassing me. No, they are not. You are just writing something stupid and people are reacting to it. It's just that.
You are absolutely right, Viking.
It reminds me of that. I don't know if you've ever seen this meme of like someone take a woman with a shovel taking a big like pile of poop with that says like opinions, throwing them over, and then with throw back and goes, help!
Misogyny! Help! Misogyny!
Don't throw that at us if you don't want it put back. And don't you see what I've started doing on Twitter, and this is actually and because Twitter is probably one of the, I think a lot of the problems that we're having would be solved without social media, to be honest. That's what I think. But regardless, Twitter is one of the worst perpetrators. But I find that this is what they're doing. They come in, right? They say something mean to get a response out of us. And when we respond, and rightfully so, they go, look, see, we're right, and you're wrong. And so what I try to do these days is I don't try to insult people. I try to just be like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Or and that way it breaks them. Lately,
it totally breaks them, and it's so much fun to watch.
Lately my new thing is telling them that I rate their insults very low and they need to work harder. So, for example, someone will say, like, you're this, and I'll be like, is that the best you've got? I rate that 2 out of 10. Come on, you could do better than that.
Come up with something more original.
And they hate it.
Oh, I love watching those fall out.
And you love watching it, right? Yeah, you're right.
I don't have a Twitter, so
I'm the one who manages the Twitter.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a Twitter at all. So.
But, I mean, sharing, right? Like, and you get a kick out of it, right?
Yeah. Because, again, look, I have no problem with these people being around. The issue is that they have to be this way, and we have to follow along. If we don't, bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to cancel you.
Yeah, it is a cult mentality.
And again, this is something that permeating a lot of areas of fandom these days, not just Star Wars. But I remember a time, and people always like to refer back to, when the prequels came out, it was the same thing. No. Not really, no. Did people not like it? Of course. Did people just, have similar opinions? They didn't say, I didn't like this. Yes, but it was a discussion.
Yes, in the days when we could agree to disagree and talk about it.
Yeah.
Sensibly.
Yeah. How many people didn't agree, right? Like with you. And maybe you were like, I liked the pod race bit in episode 1. I didn't like it. I fell asleep. I have had conversations like those. But it's not like, if you didn't like it, then you're a bigot. Or if you fell asleep, then you are an ist or a fool. Which is what we are having right now.
I hate that. Because it's like, the reason they do that is for a couple reasons. One, they deflect. Because then they're labeling you what really they are feeling themselves.
Yes.
And 2 is they're doing that because if they get a rise out of us, then they can go, see, we were right.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
But I only wonder where these people's parents are. That's what I wonder.
You're assuming they have parents to begin with.
Yes.
And again, no, these are probably people who actually do live in the basement.
Yeah, and Emerald Centurion says it happens to them. They copy and paste their responses like chants you see from activists on the streets. You're absolutely right.
Yes, you are, sir.
They literally, I've had people say the same. I had the funniest thing lately. And I'm not going to go into this too much. Obviously, this is a different kind of topic. But I had someone getting angry about, you can't be racist towards whites. And again, I'm not going to go into this topic because that's culture more. But the response. I obviously told them something specific. I told them specifically, I sent them a definition and said, hey, where is it? And they sent me cracker. Now go cry. That's what they said. Cracker.
He's not kidding. Yes, I see your reaction, Viking.
I'm like, what?
What?
What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that. What are you left with? Okay, hope you have a a nice weird life. That one of yours, like
Yeah, and the point I was making is not sometimes there's the weird one-off responses.
Mhm.
Usually they're very strange and not very common, and they don't really make much sense. But there's also the copy and pasted things where it's like they literally go to the same insults. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't like it because you're a man baby. You're an incel. You're a this. You're a that. You're a this.
You're
And it's
just a
like,
bigot. You're just an internalized misogynist.
yes,
Shut up.
you don't like diversity. You don't like progress. Blah blah
No,
blah.
we're
Let me
saying
tell
we
you
don't like
something.
diversity. It just has to be done well.
And let me tell you something. I think I did it yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I retweeted a tweet from Neon from Clownfish TV, in which he is talking about how he was working in pitching an idea for. Let me remember. I have it
saw.
here.
He was talking about how he pitched an idea for a diverse show
For-
with like a black lead or
Yeah,
black
for
female
Disney
lead.
XD.
Yes,
Yes, and it was
And
an
they passed on
animated
it.
show, and they passed on it.
Yeah.
They passed on it. So, what diversity are they really looking for? The diversity that they think is giving them money because they are so disenfranchised from real life that they think that Twitter is real life and that people are actually discussing these things on a daily basis in their lives, in their jobs, and that people do think like this and behave like this, and it's nothing like that in reality.
Yep.
Nothing
You're
like
right.
that.
Yes,
Mhm.
indeed.
No, I
Right?
agree. And it's diversity. Here's what I think it is. It's more we look at diversity and we see a wide range of people and voices, and that's what we think is diversity. They look at it and they see a select group, and they want to find diversity within that select group. But that's not true diversity. If you take a room full of women and say we want to be diverse, well, you just pushed all the males out. How is that diversity? Well, it's diversity the way we want it.
Well, it's not diversity because you just turn a group into a homogeneous group. Only women, only black people, only white people, only whatever you name it.
Yeah, it's exclusive.
Yes,
Very
exactly.
exclusive.
You're right. It's exclusive. And then when you listen to the news or you read to the news, like Boundary to Comics broke the other day, that I think it was Boundary to Comics, that the ABC president or director or whatever passed on well-written scripts because they were not diverse. I mean,
it was white. It was white people. We don't like white people.
We don't like white people.
I don't get it. It's like, look, I get it. You want to be diverse? Go right ahead. But here's what they do. They either, as I said, take diversity from a small select group of people that they approve of, or they literally just take random stuff and just inject it.
Yep.
Like literally like a drug. Like, this is a good thing, but wouldn't it be better if we just completely ruined it? And then it's even worse.
Right. You're right. You're right.
Emerald Centurion says, most diverse show ever, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Changed my mind.
Which Power Rangers? There were like 20 different versions.
I can
You
think
have to be a
of
little more specific than just Mighty Morphin. Is that the one from the 90s?
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, there were way too many versions of Power Rangers. I do remember at this one anniversary year of Power Rangers, they had these this entire week of crossovers between all of the different versions of Power Rangers. There was even one that included the Ninja Turtles.
Really?
Ah, yes.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, there was a
Space
crossover.
Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a crossover with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action, in which they have a sister.
Yeah, Venus de Milo, they called her.
Yeah, that one.
It's bleeding through, not just in our entertainment. I don't know if you saw recently. I think Clownfish covered this. So remember what Trade says? Mighty Morphin is the original from '90s. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, yeah, that's quite diverse.
There are very few Power Ranger shows that are actually good, though, because their actors suck.
Now, here's it's this kind of stuff is invading children's TV too. I don't know if you saw the Clownfish. I think covered that show about dogs. Did you see that one?
No,
a cartoon show about different species of dogs.
And they put different species of dogs in there, and people are saying, it's not diverse enough. It needs a queer dog, and it needs... Why?
But they're dogs!
It's a kid's show. Kids don't look at this and go, we need more diversity. They look at it and go, dog go woof. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. I think it was Clownfish TV. Yes, I saw the one in which they talked about Sesame Street, that it was not diverse enough, so they had to introduce the black puppets, father and a son, explaining Elmo why they were a different color or something like that.
And that's the thing.
But they're puppets.
But
right.
Yeah, but that's okay. But it's too scary to ever air the Wicked Witch episode from Sesame Street.
I would have loved to have seen that as a child.
Or allowing Pepe Le Pew to be in the Space Jam remake because he harasses cats or something like that, right? That is also very scary. But you can include that a reference to a Clockwork Orange because that's well-adjusted human beings right there, right? It's the level of stupid is it knows no bounds. It is just way beyond,
and it is beyond the help of an axe.
Yeah, yeah, and believe me, I have tried to heal them with my axe, but it's every time that you cut a head off.
The best way you can do that is aim for the neck and not the brain.
Yeah, should do that. Like go with the neck and boom. Get rid of that stuff.
Problems because they won't be able to talk either.
Yeah, well, we would find another thing to talk about. Maybe a more wholesome thing to talk about. But anyways, there are moments for things to be really diverse and things that are really diverse. And those are not in entertainment. Right now, no. I don't know anything about the Winter Soldier thing, Falcon and the Winter Soldier thing, because cancel Disney Plus. But I have heard that it is just too ham-fisted.
Well, I don't know. Are you familiar with Heel versus Babyface?
A little bit. I don't watch it too much, but I have watched some of his videos.
That's fair. But he made a very valid point about this show, and that's why I know a little bit more. Here's what he said. Why are you making a show about how it's so hard for there to be a black Captain America when literally the Avengers are well known? They saved the world.
Multiple times.
People are not going to be like, we don't like that you're a black Captain America. They're going to be like, thank you for unsnapping us. Thank you for saving us. But no, it's like that never happened. And he's like, why would you do that?
Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
And he's absolutely right.
Because it doesn't feel the narrative, yeah.
Yeah, but he's absolutely right, though. It's like the police wouldn't be like, is this black man bothering you to Bucky? They literally have a scene with that in the thing. And it's like, no, they know who the Falcon was.
Yep.
When you could make, as I told you, a good thing for diversity. Like there are cases in which diversity works better than others, not because you have to exclude, but because the material lends itself for that. In this case, Falcon and the Winter Soldier could show a person of color in a position of being like the protagonist or a position of power without having to bend the character like they normally do, right? Like with the race swapping or the gender swapping that they always do in the movie adaptations and all that. Because in this case, we have had the Falcon take up the mantle of Captain America before. Even before all this craziness of being diverse and changing characters for the sake of doing it, I think it was during the 80s or 70s, the Captain America, Steve Rogers, had to quit for a moment, and then Falcon stepped in as Captain America. Maybe not
probably before they had Bucky step in to take the role.
Yeah.
I would have preferred to see that.
Right? It would have been much more interesting.
Well, no, they could have included Falcon in a good way. But here's what I would have liked to see. I read a lot of these comics, so I know that Bucky struggled a lot after being, deprogrammed.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see him having to be the face of, be Captain America, but struggle with his feelings about his past and whatever, and maybe Falcon being there along with him, kind of saying like, "Hey, I got you." You know what I mean?
I think I actually read that comic in which Bucky is picking up the mantle of Captain America, but he is struggling to be Captain America because he knows he's not as good as Steve, and he knows he has a darker past than Steve. And he ends up and Bucky even ends up finding his old war buddies and telling them everything that happened to him while he's still young, how he was used as an assassin. And those friends who were pretty much on the verge of dying at that point were completely understanding and even forgave him.
Yeah,
that would have been great to see on the screen.
You're right, and I don't know if you remember in that that you're mentioning, that series, he takes up the mantle of Captain America, and he is afraid that the deprogramming is not working properly, and then he goes back to being what he was as the Winter Soldier. He is afraid of that, and then he says, "Well, I'm not going to wear the original suit. I'm going to wear this version of my suit because I don't know if I can really live up to the expectation of being Captain America after what Steve Rogers did." And that is a powerful message that is telling you this is an insecure character. This is not a character that is well into his, brains, and also a character that has flaws and insecurities, just like you, just like me, just like everyone else, but still goes on fighting the good fight.
Yeah,
great message.
That is what makes him a good character too, and it's what a lot of these bad writers in these corporations seem to forget is what makes a character a good and compelling character. Their flaws, their weaknesses, their struggles. We don't want to read Mary and Gary Sue's. Gary Sue is the term for a male Mary Sue.
Yes,
I want to take 1 second and say hello to Prismatics.
Hi, Prismatics.
He said it's and he says, seeing now that you guys are live, welcome to the stream. But yeah, again, the idea here is, as I said, I've read a lot of these comics. I would have loved to see that. And they could have included Falcon. It wasn't like they would have just said, "Oh no, Falcon, get out of here."
Yeah.
They could have included him in the story and made it really meaningful.
Absolutely.
Because the Falcon, especially in this MCU, felt very much lesser than Captain America. He felt like he had to live up to him. Wouldn't it be amazing to have Bucky try to live up to the mantle of Captain America? And be like, I don't know if I can do it. And the Falcon would be like, "No, you've got this. I felt that same way. Let me help." That's what I want to see. That would have been amazing.
Yes, it would have. But of course they're not going to do that because that's actually a good story. And they don't
it requires brains.
Oh, thank you, Emerald Centurion.
Yeah, he says, yes, exactly. Girl, right on. Yeah, again, the idea here is that, as I'm saying, they don't see. You'd think they have all this source material that they could use, but done by people who are creative, so they have no excuse. And yet, what are they doing? They're going for Ms. Marvel and all these other things. And I'm not saying that they may not be good, or that something might not good come out of it. I've heard a couple things about the Ms. Marvel show that actually gives me a little bit of hope for it, but personally, I've read the Miss Marvel comics and they're not good. They're not good.
No.
But again, why are they going to this stuff? You have a backlog of a billion different comics that are so good. All you need to do is show us them on screen. It's the same thing I feel about when, for example, and I'm going on a little bit of a side topic here, but when they make books into movies, for some reason they have this idea that we don't want to actually see the book as a movie. They have to change parts of it to make a new movie. And it's no, we want the actual book as a movie.
I know, I hate it when they don't stick with the source material. And sometimes they do that and cut out some pretty important scenes just because they can't turn all of those pages into runtime, because the length of an average movie is about 2 hours, which is about 200 pages of script. No, 120 pages of script is an average movie. 1 page of screenplay equals 1 minute of screen time. I learned that one in a writing class. So if they have to convert all of those book pages into script pages, they'll never have enough for the make it a proper length movie. So I can understand from that perspective, but then completely changing what's going on and not sticking with the source material, and then even completely adding dialogue and scenes and sometimes even characters that were never even there. And then also race swapping the characters is horrible.
Well, that's a whole side thing.
True, but still, always read the book first. That's just what I'm going to say. As a writer, I will give you that advice, everyone. Read the book first.
Or better
You're
yet,
welcome.
Or better yet, read the book and don't watch the film. It's not worth it.
Oh, yeah, that too.
No, because here's what I do. Here's the thing. For example, a movie came out recently. Disney did, Artemis Fowl.
Oh, God.
I've read Artemis Fowl. I love that book.
Same.
I didn't even watch the movie, but seeing clips from it made me angry. Made me angry.
Maybe want to puke.
I'm like, how in the world did you get it so wrong? Kidnapping bad. We can't have that in. It doesn't matter that it's the central plot to the entire story that he kidnaps an elf. No. We don't want that there, so we're going to make him a superhero instead. What?
And also the police commander, they gender swapped. When the whole point of Holly's character was that she was the first female in the fairy police force.
Yeah, he may not. Are you familiar with Artemis Fowl? Are you familiar with Artemis Fowl?
Oh,
no, not really. No.
Read the book.
The book,
so
no.
good.
Yeah,
read the book. Stay away from the movie.
The movie is garbage. Literally, people were saying they should just take the Artemis part out and just call the movie Foul.
With a U.
Which it should be, the proper, the proper terminology for the book, for the movie. Sorry, that if it deviating so much from the source material, then what's the point of even calling it the same as the book?
Yeah.
What's the point? It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
But getting back onto back on track here, it's the same thing with the MCU. Now I get tweaking it. Tweaking it is fine. You want to change it. You want to throw a twist in. That's great.
Do it right.
But then you're not. This is what's happening. They had a really great thing with the MCU, and then they decided that they wanted to inject the politics and stuff. Mm-hmm. See, if they did it, even if they selected, from a diverse small group, like I mentioned, it would have probably worked better than what they're trying to do, because it didn't have that room for diversity. It didn't have that whatever. They were trying to forcibly put it in. So it's like, for example, I found this out a couple days ago, and I literally laughed. We were talking about, people have been asking for Monica Rambeau, who's the original Captain Marvel, the black Captain Marvel. And
leader of the Avengers in the 80s,
Yeah, they brought her in to the WandaVision show. But they made it that she gets her superpowers from being
walking through
a barrier in the anomaly. And I'm like, that is the laziest writing I've ever seen.
No, Batwoman is lazier.
No, that's just garbage. Don't even go there.
Good point.
I agree. I have to agree with them on this one. It's total garbage, that one.
Yeah, but
not even good enough for toilet paper.
But But here's the thing, we wanted Monica Rambeau, but you could have done it in so many different ways, and you're like, oh no, she walks through the barrier and magically gets powers. Well, isn't that convenient?
It makes no sense either.
Makes no sense because of what happens later. It's like she is doing what the plot is telling her to do. So plot convenience once again. Because once she gets powers, she suddenly is captured by Boner, right? And not Quicksilver. Boner. How, if she has powers, can she be taken down like that and then being kept inside something that doesn't even look like a prison or something designed to contain superpowered beings? It's just a freaking house. She's there, with him, hanging out. Yeah.
And Emerald Centurion brings up a good point. It says, if you were a Captain Marvel fan, your character was gender swapped and used as a prop, you'll never see the character you wed and love. And he's absolutely right. I remember Captain Marvel.
Yes.
The original Captain Marvel.
The Kree soldier.
The Kree soldier. We'll never see him, or, I guarantee we'll either A, never see him, or B, they're going to bring him in as a villain.
Oh no, they already did that in the Captain Marvel movie.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
They also gender swapped him and
Yes.
stuff.
And Prismatic says, ew, Batwoman. I agree.
Now, the Captain Marvel I remember that was good was from the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes show, which they stupidly canceled.
I
after
love
2
that
seasons.
show. That show is so good.
Yeah, had a great theme song too.
Yeah. Made a mistake canceling that one. It was just so good, you know?
Yes, it was.
And then
Really
they brought in like that other one that Kim. So here's the thing, and I haven't made
Avengers
this.
Assemble.
I haven't made this public knowledge for people in the channel yet, but I hate Thor.
Sorry, Viking.
I hate him. Sorry, no offense, but I hate Thor.
He
I,
hates
Well,
the
that one is not my
Marvel
Thor,
version
you
of
know?
him.
I don't think that the character of Thor appeals to me.
Not definitely not in the Marvel universe.
But like they made this new show, and one of the episodes was called "The Death of Thor." So of course that piqued my interest, and I'm going to go look at it. And I'm like, I'm bored. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I literally just stopped watching.
yeah.
Yeah.
The mythology.
Now that you
version of
mentioned
is
Thor,
better.
Mhm.
He's actually a ginger. In mythology,
I
Thor
think
is actually
no.
a ginger. Marvel.
Again,
comics
mythology,
are
yeah.
So
Yeah, they made him blonde.
there is
yes.
literally a god that represents gingers. You're welcome.
Can't have that.
Yeah, well, another cancellation there of gingers, you know, as if we didn't have enough already.
As one myself. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Thor, and now that we are also talking about the MCU, I have to say something that now that you are confessing, I have to confess to, and it is that I personally don't like Ragnarok because it is a movie that
Oh, yeah.
just breaks the character on so many different levels. And you were saying how they inserted politics into the MCU, and I agree, they did. That breaks the lore and everything around what has been built in the MCU. But I also think that this excess in funny moments or jokes, I don't know how it is called, pathos or something like that, that I feel is destroying the MCU as well. And I see there in Ragnarok like the example for this, you know, like the best example.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that is because of the story.
Mhm.
In this one, Thor is losing his family because his father dies. He is losing, well, and his sister. He's losing his home because Valhalla. Well, Valhalla is the right name, but Valhalla, and now and Asgard, it's the right name, but Asgard is being destroyed, right,
Mhm.
by this demon.
By certain.
And during that Surtur, yeah, and during that scene, that is the end when Surtur is fighting Galadriel's character, Hela.
Hella.
You are, yeah, and you are there like, oh no, they destroyed Thor's world. And what happens? Taika Waititi on that rock character that he created, making stupid jokes. And now your city is gone, and now your world is gone. I mean,
And now the Aesir are stranded in space.
right? And it was a dramatic moment. It's a movie in which he loses everything. He loses his eye. He loses his hammer. It's a movie about loss,
Yeah.
played for laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Come
And
on.
then they completely ruin it.
With all the jokes, you're absolutely right.
It takes
Right?
it takes out the impact.
Yeah, it should be a serious. It should have a serious theme to it, and they completely destroyed all that seriousness by making light of it,
Yeah,
and that's
Yeah.
really not good storytelling.
I want to
That
address
is poor storytelling.
I want to address Emerald Centurion's comment to saying, just wait for Love and Thunder to break things even more.
Oh boy!
Don't even get me
The
started.
poster shows
Yeah.
Natalie Portman with the SJW haircut. Oh dear.
No,
Do
it's
you remember
bad
that?
they're doing that, but it's even worse.
Uh-huh.
You remember Taika Waititi when they announced this movie? How he said on Twitter, "I'm going to break your mythos in a minute." Well, he is delivering on that.
Oh yeah.
He's going to do it. Definitely going to do it.
Again,
Another
just
person.
just an example of. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but literally just another
That's okay.
example of. Again, they have a whole arc with Thor and Loki and all this stuff they could bring, and what do? No, we need female Thor now.
Yeah, let's make Thor unworthy and give it to Jane Foster.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is directly from the comic books, Jason Aaron and all that. Yes, I know that. I understand that. But honestly, that thing became old very fast. At first, people were like, oh, yeah, who is going to be this new Thor that is a female? And people speculated that it was Angela, because it was coming right after that suit, right? That battle between the ownership of Angela. And then Angela joined the Guardians of the Galaxy for a moment, and everyone was thinking, oh, no, yeah, maybe Thor is Angela, which made sense for some people. They say, no, it's Jane Foster. Okay, well, let's go with it. But it kept on going on for so long that people were tired of it. So who really wants to see Jane Foster as Thor now on the MCU if you got tired of that from the comic books?
Yeah. And I think with the plot for Love and Thunder, I think they said they're also going to be bringing in that God Butcher character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which actually, I read those comics and I thought that was an excellent story arc when you're bringing in past, present, and future Thor to fight together.
And they're going to ruin it.
Oh, absolutely, they're going to ruin it. And they're probably going to make the God Butcher a woman.
Maybe.
A man who lost all his faith in the gods because they never saved his family.
Because they didn't save his family. You are right. You are correct. That is one of those highlights in Jason Aaron's career, and I would say that it's one of the few, because when he tried,
I definitely say that is one of my favorite story arcs for Marvel's Thor.
Definitely.
I want to address Emerald Centurion's comment of then everyone was getting a hammer with War Thor and everything going on the rails. He's referring to, and I've read this as well. I read the news. That was wasn't it like Weird World or something?
I thought it was Ultimate.
Well. Maybe there was another story.
There was this crossover thingy where Doctor Doom takes over the world and War World.
Yes, War World.
War World, or whatever it is.
Force.
It was like, and they literally had like Ultimate Thor's hammer end up with Heimdall.
Oh no! Like literally, half the characters in the MCU became Thors.
It's like
everyone got their own Mjolnir, and they were like part of Doctor Doom's personal guard.
Secret Wars and Battle World is what Emerald Centurion. Yes, exactly.
Battle World. That's what it was.
Battle World, yeah. And they repeated something similar. I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yes,
with War of the Worlds, or what was that one?
Yes,
right, when Malekith, or something like that.
Yes, that's what I was referring to. It's literally like called I forget the name.
War of the Worlds.
No, not Dark World. This was literally in the comics. It was a thing where they literally had, like, as I said, like it was like I don't even know what the name of it is. I don't.
You have a computer. You can look it up.
I'm not looking it up. I don't care.
It was written by Jason Aaron, I think, also, and it was like Malekith is trying to do something to the planets or the worlds or the 9 realms or something, and then the Valkyries go looking for Jane Foster into New York, and Thor has like this golden arm or something.
Because Malekith cuts off his arm and wears it as a necklace.
Yes, or something like that. And
no, literally, that's what they did. They made him wear Thor's arm as a necklace. I'm like, why?
I don't remember many of those things. It was very strange. And then that crossover or a special event, or I don't know what it was, but it was like very convoluted. And then everyone is like wearing special things, like Daredevil becomes Heimdall for a moment, and he sees everything. And I think Captain America, Luke Cage, and Spider-Man go into Jotunheim or something to fight the Frost Giants, and they have like these special weapons and medieval weapons and all that. And it's like it's not really that nice, this thing. It was rather boring, and it was also written by the same person that wrote God Butcher, and you cannot fathom that that is possible. But when you see that it's also the same person that made Jane Foster Thor, and that dragged along for far too long, it's just like not very surprising. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and then they also in Emerald Centurion says, and Jane became a Valkyrie. Yes, that's exactly what I
Yeah.
was talking about. And I believe how they did it was they had Ultimate Thor's hammer survive like the worlds of being pushed together and this whole thing that they did, and then they had it was Volstagg, which Emerald Centurion was able to point out that it was Volstagg, not Heimdall, but
Okay.
Volstagg uses it, and then it breaks, and then Jane uses it.
And when Jane Holt picks it up, it suddenly mends itself whole.
No, when Jane picks it up later on, it breaks and it it turns her into I have no idea. It turns her into a Valkyrie, and it was like,
which absolutely makes no sense because that's not how Valkyries are made.
No, totally no. Odin goes around looking for mates that are worthy, and they are turned into Valkyries. But they can also return to their usual selves when they are not needed in battle. So there have been also narrations in which Odin goes around and finds a Valkyrie, or people find Valkyries and they fall in love with them, and they have to ask permission to Odin to make them their wives, because that renders them useless for being Valkyries. And that is not what you see, for example, in the Marvel universe. Maybe it's not that bad. Okay, well, you can change that. But to do this thing like break the hammer, and then from there now a Valkyrie is born. Come on.
they literally did that, and it was like I was like, "What the heck are you doing?"
It's because they want to keep Jane Foster a relevant, all-powerful woman.
Yes, and it's not
can
really
do that
necessary.
easily.
It's not really necessary. She remember maybe I know the 60s were different, and the writing was different. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, all those people were different individuals, but Jane Foster is and has always been a nurse. Some time later, they made her also a doctor, or some others made her a paramedic. But being a doctor or someone in the public health service, that in itself is a lot. It's saying you are empowered in some way or in some capacity. To have her pine for Donald Blake, that is Thor's alter ego, or for Thor for that matter, is not using the character properly. It's like using Karen Page for Daredevil, just pining for Matt Murdock, when she could be more than that because of her skills and her abilities, which is why I like the Netflix show, because Karen Page is more than just the Nelson and Murdock secretary. All right, that's great.
He has character and even a tragic backstory.
Yeah.
And Emerald Centurion says, reading the old 60s comics, and they touched on social issues without forgetting the character's story and art. Exactly.
Why can't they do that now?
Because here's the thing, and this is the main reason. This is literally the main reason why they can't do this now. It's because when they did it as part of the comics back then, it was part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
It fit into the narrative. Now they build a narrative and then try to force this into the narrative when there is no room for it. It wasn't meant to have it. You didn't build it around that idea. So they literally try to force it in, and it's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Eventually you'll get it in, but the square peg won't look like a square peg anymore. It'll be noticeable.
Or
You'll notice
the
it.
circular hole will no longer be circular.
Exactly. And
maybe, yeah.
And they don't even do it correctly.
Nope, not at all. And
It's
they
the reason that
works and call us histophobes for saying anything.
You are right. And I don't know if you have done this thing, but I have sometimes asked people, okay, well, what is it that you like, that you didn't like about The Last Jedi? And in most of the occasions, the thing that they mention first and foremost is Canto Bight. Why? Because that is the scene in which Rose Tico is lecturing thing about war and all that. And from there, you get various responses like Ray being a Mary Sue and Luke being emasculated and all that. But they might forget to mention those, but they never forget to mention Canto Light. Yeah, it has a lot of problems, The Last Jedi, but that one is an example of what you are saying. That is shoehorning this narrative into something that doesn't really need it. Now we need to see this inside Star Wars. It's like those twins that were announced recently that are trans and lesbian or something. I
The
don't know.
non-binary transgender
Oh,
twin
yeah.
Jedi, which makes absolutely no sense because how can you be non-binary and transgender?
Yeah, I have this question. I mean, no disrespect to any transgender people or non-binary
Anyone
people,
in the LGBT community.
but like,
Yeah.
okay, so non-binary people don't identify as either gender. So what are they transitioning to exactly then?
To binary, maybe?
No, they're non-binary transgender. So you're telling me that they don't identify with either gender, but they're transitioning to what?
Something
Or they
non-existent,
were-
or maybe something that
I don't know.
a third gender that exists in aliens.
Why would they need to?
Oh.
Why would they need to?
Because they're virtue signaling and have no idea what they're actually talking about.
Yeah, that's the logical response, right?
Yeah,
Because what else can you explain this with? But it's also another example. Why would a galaxy that is far away from here and with events that happened a long time ago, because that's how we see the opening of these movies, why would they concern themselves with earthly things or situations happening now? Maybe they are so advanced that they don't even care about genders or something. So why add that to Star Wars? For me, it breaks it, like
Yes.
breaking the fourth wall or something. And sometimes you can do it and it's well done,
Deadpool.
like Malcolm in the Middle. But in this case, it's not Malcolm in the Middle. That breaks the illusion, and then your suspension of disbelief is not there anymore,
Mhm.
right?
You're right.
no, you're right. And Prismatic says today's comics, movies, TV shows, etc., not all, of course, is written based on some annoying agenda that's often about social politics.
Yes.
And yes, that's the other way they do it. The other way they do it is, as I said, they either try to force it into a narrative that doesn't have room for it, or they put the social agenda first and try to build a narrative around it, and it doesn't hold up because that's not the main point of the story. You need a story with a good agenda, with a good social conflict. That's what you need.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's what is happening with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's suffering from that. They have the social agenda, the social politics around, but when they insert it into the show, it's not working because they don't mingle well together. That's what you are seeing, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. These people have no idea what they're doing anymore. There are no standards.
They don't care. They don't care. Many of them are trying to jump into Hollywood deals, right? I think that they want to be like, for instance, Max Bisaggio. I don't have any, I don't hold any grudge against Max Bisaggio. But Max Bisaggio is a person that took advantage of the comic book industry, failing upwards basically because of a prescribed condition, let's say. Max Bisaggio has transitioned into a woman, and the only thing that Visaggio did was to create a comic book, and that comic book into a sci-fi series that didn't even last, I think, the whole series, like the whole season. Mid-season, it was cancelled, and there is no second season. But at least that it's possible to write in your resume, I had this show on Hollywood. That opens up the doors, of course. But these people use others as just ladders to continue climbing up, and they don't care who they step on to reach that goal that they have. And in many of these cases, all these writers, comic book writers, and all, they just want Hollywood deals. That's the only thing that they care about. Easy earnings, and it doesn't work like that. You have to love what you are doing, and if you're writing comic books, you have to love them. It is the reason that comic books under great artists and writers like Danny O'Neill, Neil Adams, Frank Frazetta, for example, drawing covers for different books and comics. All these people, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, all these people were successful because of that, because they loved what they were doing, you know?
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And again, it's a real shame that we're at this point where it's literally about who can climb. See, one of the things I wonder, and I want to use your analogy of the ladder, that they're literally climbing on other people. My questions for them would be, what are they climbing for? What's at the end of the last ladder?
No one knows.
Nothing.
When you are more
no.
virtuous than the other person, and the other person's more virtuous, you're more virtuous than that person, what do you have? No audience.
Nothing.
That's what you have.
Yep. And delusions
Yep.
and more delusions of grandeur.
And then you're going to crash and burn, which is what I am hoping, and not because I want to wish ill on anyone, but this is something that should happen, for example, to Heather Antos now that she's moving into IDW.
Saw that.
Yeah, I don't know if you are familiar with Heather Antos, but the milkshake incident, 2017?
I
don't remember.
Familiar, but yeah.
They say that Antos left Marvel unexpectedly to move to Image Comics and Valiant. What they are not telling you is that she was actually let go. They gave her the sack because of some questionable behavior in there. I don't really know what, because the people that have mentioned this don't want to really say what happened. But it is something like that goes, off the record, that she was not very professional inside Marvel. So she was let go. She goes into Image Comics, and then she goes into Valiant Comics. And Valiant was just starting, building up something interesting. In comes Antos, and all of a sudden, Valiant is pretty much non-existent. And the only thing that you had that might have drawn attention to Valiant was Bloodshot with Vin Diesel last year. And because of the pandemic, that movie didn't do well, or so they say. I don't think that the movie was that bad, but it was not also something to, wow, blow your head over. And now she's going to IDW.
Yeah.
IDW is not doing well. Save, with the exception of the last run-in, which is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story, IDW is not really doing well. And Antos is allegedly going to be editor of the Star Wars and Marvel books that they produce, which are dead, completely dead. Nobody's paying attention to IDW licenses. If they don't care about the original Marvel comics, let alone the IDW Marvel comics. So I hope that she arrives to a dead end in which she finds out finally that her actions have repercussions, because that's something that these people don't have. They fail upwards all the time.
Yep.
So they don't see the consequences of their actions, and they are despicable actions,
No, you're absolutely right. And I want to mention, it's funny. Are you familiar with Ethan Van Sciver?
Yeah, of course.
So I saw that he posted, when he saw the notification about Heather Antos being an IDW, he posted a picture of himself with like lightning in the background, going, "Yes, Agent Antos, next destroy Archie."
Yeah, back when, before Riverdale existed.
Don't even start.
Yeah. Before the CW destroyed it from within.
Oh, speaking of the CW destroying from within, Powerpuff Girls.
Blech, they're not even girls anymore. What are they going to call them? Powerpuff Women?
Powerpuff
That's even
person.
worse.
No, I made a very valid point on our last video. Thinking about this, they gender swapped Professor Utonium and made him.
No,
sorry, not
they
gender
race
swap, they
swapped.
race swapped him to
Yes.
a black guy.
Mhm.
And yet most of the girls are white. So what you're telling me is a black man forced little white girls to be superheroes. Is that what the CW wants to take away from that? I don't think that's what they meant, but it doesn't. You can't have it both ways. It just goes to show you that like they're trying to be like, we're virtuous, and then it's like, but you just made it a black man say, no, you know what? They love the original Powerpuff Girls. They love to be, superheroes.
Mhm.
Here, we're going to make it they were forced to. Okay, we're going to make it, but the only way they were forced to by a black man.
What I want to know is, how are they going to make their eyes gigantic? That's going to be nightmare fuel. If
they're not
going to
do it.
Oh, no, but if they do that would be nightmare fuel. Then again,
they're not going to do it.
They would never be able to put that on screen.
Emerald
Tyrion. And they have daddy issues because, of course, they would. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't have good fathers anymore either, apparently.
But wait, he's black. So shouldn't that be a good thing? Shouldn't he be an amazing father? Isn't that what you want? I don't get it. They're like, we can't have good fathers. Down with the patriarchy, but we need diversity and inclusion. So here we go. Let's make this person black. But let's also make him a bad father. So what you're telling me is we should be diverse in how we destroy the patriarchy? Is that what I'm getting? Because that's what I'm getting.
Yeah. Should be destroyed in diverse forms,
Yeah, and one thing Clownfish TV said about Powerpuff Girls is there's the villain him, their literal Satan villain is going to be called them.
Possibly.
I don't care anymore. And
Mojo Jojo is no longer a monkey. He's a white guy because they need to have a romance or a love.
And also, they need a white man to be the villain.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, I just
and there's totally going to be a love triangle between the sisters.
I just don't care anymore.
Nobody cares about this. I don't see fans of the Powerpuff Girls saying, "Yes, finally a show I can relate to in which they are 20-something and they are tired of life." I mean, are you telling me that you are 20-something and you're already tired of your life? You are going to have a difficult time growing old, I mean, when you are a geriatric entity, you're going to wish yourself dead every single day, And it's not something that I might be interested in, but I also doubt that the target audience, which is like teenagers alone, would actually like this thing.
I don't understand how. This is what confuses me with these kind of people. I don't understand how they don't see what's going on. For example, if you looked on Twitter that day when they announced the race swap for Utonium, whatever, or they're supposed to, I did not see a single tweet that said anything positive. It was all, don't do this, we hate this. It's like, if I was someone in the CW and I was looking to see how people reacted to those photos and I saw that, I'd be like, abandon ship, abort. But they're like, nope, full steam ahead. The SS Woke is coming in. Chugga, chugga, chugga. I don't get it.
Well, they already renewed Batwoman for another season, and you know how that is going. I think the only one watching that is Hill versus Babyface.
Yep, and he loses his sanity just doing that.
Every single time. And he knows that we only watch him do that for our entertainment.
I want him to watch the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, God.
I want to. He won't do it. I guarantee he's probably going to not want to do it, but I'm going to keep asking him to.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you want him to lose even more of his sanity?
You'd have to. Huh? No, I don't want him to lose more of his sanity, but at this point, it's entertaining. Come on, there's nothing good on TV anymore. I want entertainment.
No. Fair enough. Sorry.
And and he's the only one that is watching that show, yet it is renewed for another season. And what do they say? Now we're going to bring back Kate Kane. It's not going to be Ruby Rose, but we're going to bring the character back with another actor. Why didn't you do that in the first place? With a new face. Why didn't you do that in the first place? Why did you have to hire Javicia Leslie? And I am not saying that she's a bad actor, but she's given crap to work with. I mean, let's be honest, right?
No, I absolutely agree. But
she's a good actress, but
the show is terrible.
The show is terrible, And it's, for example, another example of something similar in the CW, The Flash. The Iris West, I really think that she's a beautiful actor. Really, really think so. But they have destroyed Iris West in this way, that they are doing in the CW Flash.
Yeah, I abandoned it. I liked at the beginning, The Flash was actually quite good.
So was Arrow. But
Yeah.
for me, with Arrow was, how many times can you, by the end of each season, can you threaten to blow up a city? That was for like the first 4 seasons. That was the season finale. Is they're going to blow up the city?
Yeah.
How? And so it just got boring to me.
And then with the Flash, it was the same thing. It was, oh, I am the fastest, but guess what? Somebody's faster. Oh no.
Yeah, it just it's repetitive and it gets boring.
And it gets boring. Yeah.
I want to address Prismatic's comment of I can't push him to watch Powerpuff Girls. He's saying he's in regards to Heel versus Babyface. I know, but like, come on, it'd be entertaining to see. I would just be, because I'm not watching it. I don't care. I'm not setting anywhere foot near that. But like, I like how Ass just like goes nuts over it. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Yeah, when he reviews Batwoman, it's just that's how I started looking at him, watching him. But other videos really I haven't watched. But because of what you are saying, what is the interesting thing? What is the nice thing to see? His reaction to Batwoman and how he destroys. I mean, he destroys the writing just in a snap like this. I don't know if anyone, executives pay attention to these things, but looking at how they dissect the episodes, I would say that writers in that show are not really writers, because anyone could notice here's a flaw, here's a mistake. And let me make something clear. I know that movies and shows can have mistakes in writing, but these things are just abysmal mistakes that you cannot conceive are there, and nobody noticed that and said, hey, why is this here? Why don't you change it? Right?
Sometimes I don't even think they're mistakes. They all seem deliberate to me.
Like intentional, yes.
No,
you're right.
Here's the thing. I think if they were intentional, it would actually be a decent show. If they were purposely making fun of themselves, it would work. I think it would work. I think people at this point are just like, we're done with all this stuff. Please do something different. And if they did a show that was just like a parody of themselves, I think it would actually do quite well. But of course not. So
they are taking themselves seriously, and they are like, yeah, this is the greatest show ever. Well, the ratings say otherwise, mate. Why don't you just change course or cancel the whole thing,
They're not going to do that because they're delusional. But with what Emerald Centurion is saying here, it's like Satan bringing his television out of hell and onto Earth. No, I disagree. At least hell has good TV programs.
How do you know that?
Because I have a throne waiting for me there.
Sure you do. Sure you do.
I was talking to, I don't know who it was on Twitter, that with these announcements from the CW, with this gender swapping, race swapping going on in every show that you can imagine, that there are really no shows that you could enjoy. And I said, well, Cobra Kai is really good. And we started talking about that. And the conclusion was that the characters that they are using in Cobra Kai were very well established in the Karate Kid movies. And they are treated with respect that they deserve as established characters without ignoring or setting aside the new characters. And I think that this is what is missing in shows like Batwoman, shows like the Powerpuff Girls or Riverdale, or even in movies like The Last Jedi. They are forgetting that they are coming out of something that is a classic or something that has a lot of popularity, a lot of fans, and they do not respect the characters because they want to build up their new ones. But Cobra Kai is giving here an example that you can build your own characters without disrespecting, you don't disrespect your core legendary characters,
Yeah. It's like what Lord Doomcock says, without respect, we reject.
Exactly.
Hell, the future ruler of Earth.
Yeah, and no, I agree. I've seen the first season of Cobra Kai, and I thought it was really well done. The only issue is that, and this is the thing, me and my wife have been only watching anime lately because we ventured into mainstream, and unfortunately we ran afoul. My wife is a big fan of the Addams Family.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we ended up running afoul of their new latest...
The 2019 movie that I wanted to give a chance on and see all the way to the end. I absolutely regret it.
Let me describe to you what the plot of this movie is.
Oh, dear.
It shows how the Addams Family first find their manor, and they have a swamp, and the swamp gets drained, and the fog disappears from the mountain, and what do you know? There's a city below. Guess what that city is called?
Assimilation.
Assimilation. And literally, the story is, they're bad because they're weird. We don't like them. So this lady literally gets a Twitter mob to try to cancel it. And I'm not kidding.
With torches and pitchforks on their phone.
They have torches and pitchforks on their phone, and they walk over and they go, get out of it. And I'm like, this is literally... And then they did something that made my wife cry. They made Wednesday Addams wear pink.
Come on.
And and then they paint the mansion pink.
Yeah, well,
and I'm like, who approved this?
Clearly not the man who created the characters, because it was completely disrespectful to the lore.
Of course.
And now there's going to be this Addams Family TV show on Netflix that focuses completely on Wednesday and making it a coming-of-age story for her. No, thank you. I've had it ruined once for me already.
So since then, we've been kind of
that was it for me.
That was it for us. Yeah. We were like, nope, mainstream, we're leaving, bye-bye for now.
He's not lying. I really did cry. I was heartbroken.
Come on. Of course. I mean, when you have favorite characters, when you have something that you are familiar with for a long, long time, and then see it destroyed in that way. I mean, Pink, Wednesday, of all people. I mean, we know Wednesday as this character that has like this levity, gravity.
The only time Wednesday and Pugsley ever wore color in the original show was on Halloween. Because in their family's eyes, that was a scary costume.
That was a scary costume, yes. But in the Playboy things, like the strips that they had, that I remember because I haven't read all of them. They are very straightforward with the humor. Like Wednesday is like this very serious character that has even some gravity towards her, right? Like this imposing figure that is like dark and so dark in herself that it makes you feel endearing to her. Like, yeah, I like this thing. I like how she is. And also the seriousness in which she conduces herself, she behaves around everyone else that, I don't know, there's something with the character. But then you have the character wear pink just because, I don't know, reasons.
No,
because assimilation.
Rebelling against her mother.
That's literally the reason. They make it because she's already wearing black and kind of quote unquote rebelling. So her rebellion is that she wears pink and like a unicorn hair clip. I kid you not. This is what the show is. And the whole show is literally the Addams Family has all their extended family come, and literally a group of people who this woman goes on the social media thing, types a bunch of lies about the Addams Family, and literally they all get an app that has a torch and pitchfork on it, and they all walk down the street holding the phones up above their heads, going like, "Get out of town!" And I'm thinking, this is literally Twitter. This is literally Twitter. It's like the Addams Family are being attacked by Twitter. That's literally what the show was.
Good thing I didn't watch it then. Good thing I didn't watch it.
So horrible. I can't even tell you.
But I thought it started off okay. Like seeing Gomez and Morticia's wedding. And then
that's nice.
Them finding the mansion, and just the way it started was great. The way the movie started had respect for the original show and the lore and the characters and the creator of the Addams Family. And then halfway through, they just destroyed it.
It was so bad. It was literally, after that, me and my wife literally have not watched anything aside from YouTube or anime because we're just like, I don't want to see it ruined again. For me, when I stopped mainstream, and mainstream was Doctor Who. What they did to that show,
unforgivable. And that was his favorite until then.
It was
the Timeless Children.
Before the
Timeless Children.
We're talking about the female Doctor being introduced.
So
yeah, I
agree. Destroyed it, but here's the thing, and many people, I mentioned this on Twitter before, but for people who don't know, I got introduced by Doctor Who by someone who's no longer alive. Was a friend of mine. She introduced me to it, and she ended up passing away young. She had cystic fibrosis, and she had a transplant. It didn't take, and she passed away.
She passed
right around the time that A Tale of Two Doctors came out.
Oh.
And as much as I miss her and wish that she was here, I kind of, in a weird way, as weird as this is going to sound, I'm somewhat glad that she didn't have to witness what the show has become now. But it bothers me because I have people attacking me for not liking the show on Twitter once in a while. And I'm just thinking, you have no idea what this show meant to me. I can't talk with this friend about it anymore. She's gone. Yeah. And for me, I always found that for me personally, whatever the Doctor was going through, whatever was happening, was relatable to me. I felt like I could relate to it. It started to go downhill a little bit towards the end of, Capaldi's run.
But that wasn't his fault.
I found some stuff to like. I watched the first season of Jodie's run. I had no clue what was going on. I felt like I couldn't relate to any of it. And I couldn't watch anymore. And then they went back and ruined it. Not only that they ruined the show, they had to go back and ruin it. They literally took the Time War, the main reason that they explained for the show being off air for so long, and they retconned it. It's no longer a thing. No more Time War. Oh, by the way, did you want to know that the Doctor can transform into a cat now? Or a dog? Yeah, we made that a thing too. We can have Dr. Dolphin. Hooray! No one cares. But yeah,
sorry. And then the Timeless Children ruined it even further.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I get very passionate about Doctor Who because it literally was my favorite show. My favorite show. And seeing what it's become, it just destroys me to see what it's become. And, it just goes to show you these people do not know what they're doing. This was literally saying, we have a show with established history. It's the same thing with The Last Jedi. Here's an established character. We're going to change them in a way that they're not meant to be changed. I think Jodie could have been a good Doctor with the right writing. But they literally took this character and made her into a preachy wackadoodle. And I'm just like, sorry.
A preachy, whiny bitch. I'm sorry. In my language.
I'm sorry, not interested.
Of course not.
It destroys me because I wish I could talk with my friend about what has happened to it and know what she would say, but I can't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's bittersweet because I wish I could speak with her about it. At the same time, I'm kind of happy she didn't have to see how it went out. But in some ways, I think that what they did to Doctor Who was worse than The Last Jedi because it was literally like imagining taking Luke and making it that in the beginning he was changing him from being a white male to a black female, and then who didn't learn who was the origin of the Force, and they took her and killed her over and over till the Jedi learned how to use the Force. That's literally what they did with Doctor Who, and it boggles my mind.
Yep.
Yeah, it was despicable, really. I mean, let's be honest, that Timeless Children episode was despicable. I was not maybe as much of a fan as you for what you are telling me, but I liked the show. And this destroyed that feeling that I had, like I'm watching a true science fiction show, and that has lasted for so much time. But I can relate to your pain also with Star Wars, for example. I mean, for me, Star Wars is a very important thing. And to see it destroy this way is something I can take, And that's what I said, after I watched The Force Awakens with some reservations. And I instantly saw that it was just a rehashing and a remaking of Episode 4. But I gave the whole thing the benefit of the doubt, right? And I said, well, yeah, maybe it's going to be a little better the next time.
Exactly. That's
After The Last
exactly
Jedi,
the same I had. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
right?
Mhm.
And after The Last Jedi, I just said, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to go back to Star Wars. And I have not gone back. You know?
I remember the moment. I was the same way. I was like, okay, this is literally a retelling of the other of what came before, but maybe they were doing it for a reason. Maybe they were introducing it to people, kind of. And I'm like, I can't wait to see them do something new. And I saw Luke at the end. I'm like, yes, this is exactly what we wanted. And I watched The Last Jedi, and the moment he picks up the lightsaber and tosses it over his shoulder, something inside me just died. My excitement, everything gone. I was like, who is this person?
I was thinking, I think that a lot of people did that because to me, it happened like when he tossed it aside, I just thought, that's it. This is not Star Wars. And believe me that I wanted to leave the theater at that moment. Had I not been accompanied, I think that I would have just done it. And I don't remember the last time before that one that I wanted to leave the theater. That one is one that will remain with me for a very long time because I really wanted to leave the theater, And when they started with your mama jokes, I said, well, this is ridiculous, but I am going to wait where this is going. And that moment when the lightsaber got tossed away, that's when I completely lost it. And I said, this is not Star Wars. And the rest of it was just confirmation that what I was watching there was not Luke Skywalker, but another person entirely,
I never even watched The Last Jedi. I did see The Force Awakens,
You
and I
did
actually
well.
saw it twice, because at the time, I thought it was a good movie. I did enjoy The Force Awakens when I first saw it. Same with Captain Marvel. When I first saw it with some of my friends, I thought it was a good movie because at the time, I didn't notice all of the gender politics and the wokeness that was being inserted into it. I was just focusing on the action to it, which is what I like in movies. At the time, I wasn't paying attention to the actual script because by then I had not taken my script writing class. So I didn't really know what to look for. Now I look back on it and I'm like, why the hell did I think that was good?
I think that it is really mediocre, And I mean, I'm not saying that Captain Marvel is the worst movie. Huh?
Mediocre's being too nice.
Maybe. But I felt, I don't know if it happened to anyone else, but to me, Captain Marvel was a very generic. It was formulaic, like, oh, yeah, we're going to go from point A to point B in this fashion. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. But you didn't see any high stakes taking place, nothing. It was just boring, boring, really.
And then what they did to Nick Fury with the, I got my eye patched by a cat.
And you remember that?
The worst.
I was like,
where was it? It was in Avengers?
No, in the Captain Marvel movie.
No, but in Avengers when he said, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Yeah.
You remember
and then it turns out the one he trusted was a cat.
Yeah.
That scratched his eye out. And even though I enjoyed the movie at the time, even I hated that part.
I was kind of like,
course.
Did they seriously just do that?
That's not how he's supposed to lose his eye. Even I knew that.
He's supposed to lose his eye. I'm pretty sure they originally established he loses his eye from Bucky.
Yeah. Wasn't that in the comics?
Yeah. In a comic book, I think it was. And before that...
They hinted at that in the Winter Soldier movie.
They hinted at it, and they're like, nah.
Yeah. And then it was just the cat getting it scratched, and that's how it got lost, right?
Yeah. It's absolutely lame.
It's lame, and it's, once again, the problem of ignoring the lore. Why do I say this once again? Because the Avengers movie was released in 2012. And when you see Spider-Man Homecoming, it says 8 years after the events of the Avengers movie, 2012. So everyone thought, well, we are in 2020 then. But it turns out that the Avengers events didn't happen in 2012. It happened around 2010 because it was just a little bit after the events of Iron Man 2.
Mhm.
So it was 2010. So 8 years later, it was 2018 or something like that. I don't know how they made their calculations, but it was not 2020. Then you watch Avengers Endgame, and they go back in time to 2012. So in reality, yes, the Spider-Man Homecoming events take place in 2020. But then when the snap takes place, 5 years later, we are in 2024. But it should have been later than that because of all the time situations that were there. So people are not even paying attention to what they are writing in their own films. And I can understand maybe that there are some inconsistencies because there are many people working on these things. Like, it's not the same director all the time. The Rosses and then Taika Waititi, and at the first, the first Avengers movies, Joss Whedon and all that. But they have a leader at the helm that is Kevin Feige, and he is the one that is looking into all this. And the universe crumbled apart also because of that. So
Mhm.
you have once again confirmation that these people don't care what they are writing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And if they had people that cared, it would actually turn out well. Like
right?
the first season
Yeah,
of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's really a shame what's become of kind of everything that's going on anymore. And in Prismatics, sums up what I'm saying also. Personally don't care anymore. Yeah, same.
yeah.
I thought
It's just
Spider-Man I thought Spider-Man Far From Home wasn't that bad. I saw that was the last Marvel movie I saw though.
well, but it
And
should have been called Iron Man Home from Far From Home or something like that, or Iron Boy or something.
yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And Prismatic also says I become apathetic about this. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, I hate to do this, but we've been going for about 2 hours now. And it seems like for some reason my computer is notifying me that our internet connection is starting to
To
Decline.
break.
decline. So I think if it's all right with you, Viking, we'll end it here for now, but we should definitely do this
Yeah.
again.
Oh, absolutely. I
Sometimes
enjoyed
so.
Oh,
this.
absolutely. Yeah, of course. Well, of course, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah. But for
Yeah.
now, yeah, a great talk. I really did enjoy this. And yeah, we'll definitely do this again soon.
Mm-hmm.
And wait, Emerald Centurion says the audience is becoming more and more apathetic, which is a shame. With today's technology, we can push the boundaries so far.
Agreed.
Yeah,
But they're
I
not
agree.
going to do that because that would be telling a good story.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
I really wish
And
it was.
they don't
different.
want to invest on that. They don't want to invest so much time in telling a good story. That's the thing.
All right, but anyways, we're gonna end the stream here. Thanks, Viking, for coming. We really
Indeed.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Hail Gothic therapy.
And thank you everybody for coming. And Prismatics, Emerald Centurion, anybody else who showed up, we really appreciated it.
Indeed, we do.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again sometime. And
Definitely.
yeah, because it was great.
Yeah.
But for
Cool.
now, I guess for now,
Yeah, we'll just.
we'll end off here. And Prismatic says this was fun, something positive in this week.
You're welcome, Prismatics.
Great.
You're welcome.
Skull to you as well.
Glad that you liked it.
Yeah, good way to start off this. Good way to start
Yeah.
off the week. You know?
All right, then,
Yeah.
everybody. We will see you sometime in the future.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.